Hello and welcome to Sheepdog Says. I'm Sheepdog and this is episode 27. Today I thought I'd do a bit of an odd one. I kind of had a conversation with Kevin, the guys on Mature Gamer this week, which they wrote off as me being a moron. It's something that I've thought for a long time, but coupled that with the fact I've just finished watching The Good Life on Netflix, it's pottering around in my head a lot, and I thought, well, I'm going to do a video about it because it's one of those scenarios where I get that something I'm saying sounds a bit ridiculous, but I think I'm onto something, and I'm yet to be convinced that there's any kind of flaw to the logic. So I figure, put it on YouTube, let you lot tear me to pieces, and if I'm wrong, great, I'll move on to a new theory, but eventually I think I'll polish it enough that I'll be right, and then, we'll see what happens. So, The Good Life, I want to start on. Great program. I suggest you watch it. It talks about what happens when we die. The premise of the program is that the top 1% of people in history get to go to the good place, and they get to just live out heaven, basically. I might have called it the good life, just said it's the good place, sorry. They get to go to heaven, live an eternity in bliss, but everyone else goes to the bad place because they weren't good enough, even though they had all the chances to be good. Now, every religion in the world is built on that premise that if you're good, you get to go to heaven. And it doesn't really sit right with me. It doesn't make much sense because I kind of feel like, who cares? And why is it all judged by different, policies and beliefs and thoughts and so forth? Everyone has their own different view of what's good and what's bad. I don't like people that look at me funny. Some people don't like people who eat fish on a Friday. It's just too iffy. Doesn't make any sense, and I'm pretty sure most adults out there know that doesn't make any sense. No offense, by the way, if anyone thinks I'm disparaging their beliefs. I'm not trying to do that. I just want to get my thoughts out and see what you lot think. So a long time ago, I was laying in bed, and I think I just woke up one day and thought, I know what happens when we die. And then I was just like, really? It checks out. I kept just thinking about it. I'm right. I'm certain I'm right. That's that. I tried to explain it to Kev slightly the other day. I've done it before. He never really gets it. Most people just kind of go, huh, okay, and that's it. But I feel like it's a pretty big deal. If that's the answer, that's the answer. So to start with the premise of what made me think it, it's people lose parts of themselves over life, in injuries, in whatever. We shed skin all the time and that kind of thing. If you had somebody who lost their arms, legs, every organ one by one, there's a point where they wouldn't be able to function as a human, but in theory you could keep someone alive all of that time. You can have an artificial heart, you can have an artificial lung, you can have artificial most organs. You could live without a liver for a certain amount of time, but you'd die of poisoning. There's all these reasons why you die eventually, but without them you don't suddenly stop being you. You don't. If I suddenly lost everything from the neck down but was able to keep my brain oxygenated, I wouldn't suddenly be a different person. I wouldn't be just a zombie. I'd be able to talk. It'd be hard. I'd die eventually. You have people who say that, I don't know, if you cut someone's head off, they're alive for like 3 minutes or whatever it is, and some people have whatever they've said something after they've had their head cut off. I don't know. There's all these kind of historic stories, but the point is, like, you can take someone's heart out and replace it with another heart and they're not a different person. You can have a liver transplant and you're not a different person. So to me, that means that nothing, at least from the neck down, matters. You can replace it all. I could just be a head on a robot and it could be the same. I know science has said that for years. That's kind of, we know that makes sense. So I kind of feel like we aren't anything from the neck down. Now, you can lose most of the stuff in your head as well. You can lose most of your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. All of that can be lost, and you still be alive in yourself. You can still, communicate in other ways. There are people out there who have lost part of the front of their brain, the sides of their brain, the memories, whatever. They're still them. They're still the same person. So I think that at some point, however, wherever it is in the head, there is a point where that bit is you. I don't think it's very big. My theory is that we are all one cell that is the master control cell that is just in charge of keeping all this going. Basically everything else is just other cells that weren't the controller and weren't picked. So when when your parents are getting it on, only one sperm hits one egg, that sperm, I reckon, has the controller in it. All the other ones have lost the race, they're gone. From that point onwards, you're using the energy of things your parents ate to build a human, to multiply the cells out and out and out and out and out. If your mum just stopped eating and was starving to death, you'd start using cells from her to grow. You know, people who are pregnant often go diabetic or get ill or lose all the calcium in their teeth because their baby is literally leaching from them. You have enough energy for, I think it's the first 3 months. That's why babies take to the mother, and then they just leech from the mother until they're born, and then they leech from the father until they're 18 and move out. Anyway, so at that point, I'm thinking, you literally are what you eat. You're eating other cells. They're not control cells. They're control cells from another animal, perhaps, whatever, but they're just replacing parts of you. Your body's just set up. You know, you're controlling a system that just takes that and turns it into other parts. You know, when they die off, you get fingernails and stuff like that grow. The point is, you're just rehashing and recycling other cells. So my thought is, if we are what we eat, then the cell that is me must be something my father or mother ate that was then the control cell in the sperm or the egg. I don't know which end it would be, that's then controlled everything from there onwards. You know, the idea is that in my mind, if my dad ate a burger that I happened to be part of because I used to be part of a cow, and then that's been made into a sperm, and then that's hit the egg, and I've just controlled it from there, leached onto my mum, taken everything she's eaten, and come to this handsome specimen in front of you, then my thought is that if I die, then that cell that's left there is going to go where everything else goes, into the ground or whatever. Some people are burned, and I'm like, I don't really know what would happen there, but you'd go into the ground. My thought process is that, you know, a plant would probably leach you out of the ground by, you know, bugs eat you, that sort of thing. Then you're just going to be one cell in one of them. They are what they eat. So if they're eating a dead human, they are part of, you know, they're eating the cells of that human that's making them up. If a bird eats that worm and then a cat eats that bird, and you're being transferred all the way through each time because you're just part of each of those animals, then eventually at some point that, I don't know, that cat's going to get killed, it's going to be buried, it's going to go into a tree that might grow a plum that might be eaten by a human. You might end up being in a human again, you might end up being made into a sperm, you might end up being a sperm that wins the race again, and then bang, you're human again. But the odds of that happening are so fine and so tiny and insignificant because you're literally fighting against every other cell in the whole planet, basically. You know, if you went outside and you ate a piece of grass from the garden, you know, that's in you, that's used to make something of you. That, it doesn't make any sense for you to do that. So anything out there at the moment that's kind of in a weed or something is completely wasted. It's stuck until some fluke just clicks it into the right place at the right time. You know, in my mind, that seems really positive because it means that I won this ridiculous race against a trillion other sperm against a infinite amount of other cells. You know, I've had to have won every single race up to this point to be a human. So that seems really, really cool. And if that's the answer, that's something that everyone should feel like, bang, I won the race. That is awesome. It also makes me feel better about what happens when we die, because the whole thing for me then is we'll go into the ground or wherever, and then the race just starts again, and you don't know what you're going to be. And you're not going to... The thing is, and the thing that's kind of worrying and scary a little bit is we can lose our memories even when we're people. I could get hit around the head tonight and forget everything I've ever known, and then I could have to start again from dot. It's happened to people. There are people out there who... A guy had a cold sore virus go to his brain, and it meant that he now relives the same day over and over again. It infected the bit between his short-term and long-term memory, and it means that he can't form long-term memory. So every day he wakes up and goes, where am I? Where's my wife? What's going on? And he's stuck in this permanent cycle. Now, that shows me that memories aren't relevant really to our whole makeup. They're relevant to our lives and who we are and what we do, but once we die, they're gone. So that to me makes me think there can't be, and I know this is sad to hear, there can't be like a me that goes, oh, hello everyone, like, welcome to the afterlife, here we are, yay, let's have a party, because those memories are stored in my brain, and my brain's rotting away in the ground and whatever. But the me that's the control, and everyone who's ever died that's the control cell, has gone off to another journey along the way. And it's like, it's sad to think the chances of you meeting another person twice is quite finite again, but it also means that everyone you've ever met is kind of just another winner, and you'll just be seeing other. You know what I mean? There's just this whole kind of other mix to it, that you've basically been around a lot longer than you think. And yes, it is a bit sad, but come on, like, we're going to go and be, I don't know, a cat's tail for the next 5 years, and then we're going to go and be a dog's eye, and then we're going to go and be a giraffe's arse, or whatever. Just anything. You don't know. I don't even know how you'd go from cat to giraffe's backside, but still, it's just, that's how I think it must work. And I don't think this is something that exists out there as a theory already. You know, it's a little bit of reincarnation, because I know that Hindus, and I think it's Hindus, believe how good you are in life dictates what you are next. I don't feel like it's like that. I think that's, again, a way of saying behave and you'll become a lion, be naughty and you'll be a slug, which just seems illogical. And who out there gives a damn? Why would anyone care? Whereas if you are, I don't know, if you're living in an area where you have a lot of worms and you fall into the ground dead, or you're put in the ground dead and lots of worms eat you, then yeah, it makes sense. That's logical, because if you end up being part of a worm or controlling a worm, of course, because you literally got buried in a place where there's lots of worms. You know, if you I don't know, asked for your remains to be fed to a tiger because you wanted to be a tiger when you were reincarnated, I imagine it wouldn't really work, because there's not many tigers that are allowed to eat humans. But still, it's one of those things where that, to me, makes sense. You've got more chance of coming back that way if you want to. You're in control of that in a way. Part of me wondered if a cannibal ate you and kept just constant. You'd still have the odds against you. You'd have to be the sperm that won the race when the cannibal reproduced. But still, anyway, I'm getting a bit aside from the point here. Part of my point was, if I was right, then that makes me think that if you could pinpoint the cell, the control point, remove that from somebody, build a machine that could then be controlled by that point, and upload all of that person's memories to the machine, then you could be I could be me forever, basically. That's what I wish I knew physics, I wish I knew biology, I wish I had the knowledge and skills to somehow explore this, because I don't know, if I'm wrong, I'm an idiot who wasted a load of time on an idea. But if I was right, and it meant that, I don't know, my parents were getting old, and I could take them to a clinic, and I could say, right, you know, you've had a good innings, you know, you're 150 years old now, we're just going to suck the control cell out, put all your put all your memories in a computer, and then we're going to pop that in, and you're going to be a robo mum forever. You know, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like there's an option. It kind of makes me think we'd then have to start going back and seeing if we can trace down the control cells of lost people. But I don't know, you have to draw a line somewhere. It's kind of like I'd rather stem the tide and be positive and go on forever this way. But I don't know, it's a bit random. I get it. I feel a little bit mental talking about it, but I think I made some notes. I think I've covered them all off, but it's like, I even thought about making this as a computer game, because I don't feel like I don't think I do the story justice. I don't think I do the idea justice, and I kind of considered having a game that was like a character crash landing on a planet, I was going to say, but I guess Earth it would have to be, and they're dying, and kind of in their brain they're like, what the hell's going on? And someone's explaining to them, you know, you had a good run, you lived to be 30 odd, whatever. You know, we're all off now. If you might want to leave with us before this body decomposes and falls apart, let's get out. And then I imagine like every level being like traveling through the different systems, like going through a plant and trying to reach the control point of that. And then maybe, I don't know, once you complete the level, an animal eats the plant, and then you're inside the animal and you have to go through the level of that. And I kind of thought it'd be a really good game that could be called, like, in my head I named it Becoming Human, because I thought it'd be a really good journey, because then you could have different pieces to it, where if you become the controller, you can then navigate around the game to try and make yourself more likely to be consumed by a human. And then you'd have to do the final level, which would be getting to the point where you can be, you know, part of the reproduction that allows you to become human again. Because I think that would conceptualize it perfectly. That would show it all, you know, straight away exactly what I mean. It would show how difficult it would be, really, because I don't think we have that control. My thought process is we wouldn't have that control. I couldn't die, leap out of my body and wiggle off down. You know, I'm thinking this is completely passive. Once I'm dead, I'm just there. It's like if I cut my finger off, all of the cells in my finger are still alive until they run out of resources, and then they just start decaying and falling apart into the ground. They're being absorbed by something. They're going somewhere. It's not just destroyed. You know, a plant would eat that, a bug would eat that, whatever. You know, if I don't know, I'm not going to go off on a tangent about it too much, but the point is that if one of those cells ended up being at the point where it was used to make a sperm and impregnate something, then it would be a control. So I don't know, I hope this makes sense. I feel like I've talked 15 minutes about this now, and I can't see any major holes in it, really. And I'd love it if I'd just found other people who were like, yeah, that's what we believe too, and we're a group. Because so far, everyone I've spoken to is like, I've never thought about it before, and then they go off about their lives or they forget about it. Whereas I kind of think, if it's something that's kind of, if everyone's in agreement that it sounds all right, then why the hell aren't we pushing to see whether we can do anything with it? Because if we can, then that's awesome. I want to be a robot me that lives forever, because yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So this is a bit different from my normal videos. It's me being crazy without really meaning to, and you'll either have two reactions. You'll either think this is boring, or what an idiot, this is hilarious. I don't expect many of you to watch this and go, my God, he's right, he's cracked it. But either way, I'd love to be right, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll try and just go back to being dumb old sheepdog in the rest of the videos. I was chatting yesterday about putting together some sort of plan with different types of videos, where I might do like a sheepdog says, I might do a lamp up video, I might do a Pokemon one with my son. I'm trying to convince my wife to do a video with me about TV and film. I've even considered a whole line of these Professor Sheepdog episodes where I try and sound clever about something that I think I know about, but I'm probably inevitably wrong. And yeah, I just think that would be quite a good structure to the channel. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. Just let me know what you think, because if this is obviously wrong, there's a clear flaw in it, then great, I can move on and start thinking of a new option. But I don't know, I just feel like with everything we know about science and biology and health and whatever, it seems likely that it's the most plausible explanation I've ever heard, and I've done a lot of reading about it. I'm into philosophy and religion and all those things, and this is the most plausible thing I've ever pondered about. So anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I'm a little bit mental. Hope you had a good day, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Cheers.